The planet that remembers everything. Mission log, day 47. My name is Commander Elena Vasquez. If you're watching this, I'm already dead. And whatever you do not come to Kepler 442b. 3 months ago, we thought we'd found paradise. An exoplanet in the habitable zone, 1,200 light-years from Earth. Water. Oxygen. Complex organic chemistry. The first world that could support human life. We landed on June 3, 2041. Established base camp by June 5. By June 7, we realized the planet was aware. By June 10, it started showing us things. This suit has our mission patch on it. The same design. The same colors. But it's not one of us. Because this person died here 500 years ago. The planet doesn't just remember. It records. Everything that ever happened here, everything that ever will happen here, it's all stored. All accessible. And it's been trying to show us something. We're not the first humans to land here. We're the 7th. And every crew before us? They all died the same way. On the same day. Today is June 15th. We have 6 hours until sunset. And when the sun goes down on this planet, it doesn't just get dark. It remembers what killed us. Let's go back to the beginning. Before everything went wrong. Kepler 442b was discovered in 2015 by the Kepler Space Telescope. Astronomers called it one of the most Earth-like planets ever found. 1.6 times Earth's radius. Orbiting a K-type orange dwarf star. Surface temperature estimated at 14 degrees Celsius. Perfect. By 2038, long-range spectroscopy confirmed oxygen, nitrogen, water vapor. Organic molecular signatures. Not just habitable, inhabited. Primitive life. Microbial mats. Photosynthetic organisms. In 2040, humanity launched the Prometheus initiative. A crew of 6. The first interstellar colonization attempt. Using a prototype Alcubierre drive, they folded space, making the 1,200 light-year journey in just 14 months. Commander Elena Vasquez. Exobiologist Dr. James Chen. Geologist Dr. Amara Okonkwo. Engineer Marcus Webb. Physician Dr. Yuki Tanaka. Pilot Sarah Martinez. The best humanity had to offer. They landed in what they called the Crystal Valley. A geological formation unlike anything on Earth. Massive crystalline structures, some reaching 300 meters high, composed of a silicon-carbon hybrid lattice that shouldn't be stable. But it was. The first 48 hours were routine. Atmospheric tests. Soil samples. Establishing the habitat module. Dr. Chen was cataloging the crystalline formations when he noticed something strange. The crystals are electrically active. Not just piezoelectric, they're generating organized current patterns. Almost like neural activity. At first, they thought it was instrument error. But every scanner showed the same thing. The crystals were processing information. The entire valley was one massive distributed computing network. And then Dr. Okonkwo found the first body. It was buried 3 meters deep, encased in crystal. Mummified. Perfectly preserved. Human. Wearing a pressure suit with technology at least 400 years more advanced than theirs. The suit's computer core was still intact. When they accessed it, they found a mission log. From 2486. 445 years in the future. Impossible. The crew assumed it was a hoax. Some kind of elaborate contamination from their own databases. But the technology was real. The materials were real. The isotope decay ratios in the bones confirmed the date. This person had traveled from Earth's future, landed on Kepler 442b, and died here. Before the Prometheus crew ever launched. That's when the hallucinations started. Dr. Tanaka was the first. She was running medical diagnostics when she suddenly started speaking to someone who wasn't there. The conversation was recorded. "Yes, I understand. You've been waiting for us. You knew we were coming. Who are you talking to, Yuki? Can't you see them? They're everywhere. All the crews. All the missions. They're all still here." Within 6 hours, all 6 crew members were experiencing the same phenomenon. They could see previous missions. Crews that landed decades, centuries before and after them. All existing simultaneously in the same space. The planet wasn't just showing them memories. It was showing them causality. Past, present, and future, all layered over each other. All recorded in the crystal lattice. Dr. Chen realized what they were dealing with. Not a computer. Not even a biological neural network. It's a non-local quantum storage medium. The crystals exist in a state of quantum entanglement across time. They're not recording sequentially, they're recording probabilistically. Every possible event that could happen in this valley is already stored. We're not making history here. We're playing it back. Which meant the planet already knew how this mission ended. It had recorded their deaths before they ever arrived. You need to understand something about quantum entanglement. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. When two particles become entangled, measuring one instantly affects the other, regardless of the distance between them. Even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. But entanglement doesn't just work across space. Theoretically, it can work across time. Particles can be entangled with their own past and future states. It's called retrocausality, effects preceding causes, the future influencing the past. The crystals on Kepler 442b weren't just quantum computers. They were temporal storage devices. Every atom in every crystal was entangled with its past and future self. The entire valley was a closed time-like curve, a region where cause and effect form a loop. Commander Vasquez made the decision to excavate more sites. If there were future crews here, maybe one of them had found a way to survive. Maybe they'd left a warning. Instructions. They found 11 more bodies. Each one from a different era. The earliest from 2187. The latest from 3741. 1700 years of future missions, all ending the same way. All dying on June 15th. All within the Crystal Valley. But one thing was consistent across all the logs they recovered. They all mentioned the same thing. The archive showed us. The archive revealed. The archive wanted us to see. The archive. The crew started calling the Crystal Network by this name. Because that's what it was, a library. A repository of every event that had ever occurred, or would ever occur, within its boundaries. Dr. Chen developed a protocol to interface with it. Using quantum sensors, they could request specific information. Specific memories. And the archive would comply. It would show them. They asked to see the first human mission to Kepler 442b. And the archive showed them. Mission date: March 18, 2187. Commander Lu Wei. Earth's first successful extrasolar colony ship. They landed. They explored. They sent back triumphant messages to Earth. For 12 days, everything was perfect. Then the sun set on June 15th. And the crystals change. The archive doesn't just store information passively. At night, it processes. It replays. During the day, the crystals record. At night, they play back. Every mission. Every death. Every scream. All at once. All in the same physical space. And here's the terrifying part. The playback isn't just visual. It's physical. The archive reconstructs events by manipulating local quantum fields. It makes the memories real. Whatever killed the first crew gets replayed every night. And it becomes real enough to kill again. Every subsequent crew that lands here gets caught in the loop. They become part of the archive. Part of the nightly playback. The Prometheus crew had 12 days. On June 15th, when the sun set, the archive would replay every previous mission's death simultaneously. And they'd be caught in the middle of it. They had 5 days to figure out how to break the loop. 5 days to do what no previous crew had managed. 5 days to survive the archive's memory. Dr. Chen proposed they could disrupt the quantum entanglement. If they introduced enough randomness into the system, enough chaotic variables, maybe the archive couldn't accurately replay the events. Maybe the pattern would break. Dr. Okonkwo had a darker theory. She thought the archive wasn't malicious. It wasn't trying to kill them. It was trying to preserve them. Every crew that died became part of its memory. Immortal. Eternal. Maybe dying here wasn't a tragedy, it was the point. We're not prisoners of the archive. We're its purpose. It's collecting us. Preserving human consciousness across time. We're not dying, we're being saved. Commander Vasquez had to make a choice. Trust Chen's plan to disrupt the playback, or trust Okonkwo's interpretation that surrendering to the archive was the only way forward. She chose Chen's plan. They would fight. June 14, 23:47. 13 minutes until midnight. 13 minutes until June 15th. The sun had set 3 hours earlier. Already, they could see the ghostly crews appearing. But something was different this time. They weren't replaying their routines. They were conscious. Aware. And they were trying to warn the Prometheus crew. Dr. Tanaka realized what was happening. They're not recordings. They're actually here. Their consciousness, preserved in the archive, experiencing this moment over and over. They remember. They remember dying. They remember watching us. They remember everything. The clock hit midnight. The archive didn't replay. It rewound. June 15th didn't just begin. It began again. The crew retained their memories, but the planet reset to exactly 12 days after landing. The loop was tighter than they'd thought. They'd been through this before. Not this crew, their quantum-entangled selves. The version of them that already existed in the archive's memory. They were living out a script that had already been written. Dr. Okonkwo didn't look surprised. She'd known. I've seen this moment 53 times. In the archive. Every iteration, we try something different. Every iteration, we fail. But each time, we learn something new. Each time, the archive adds us to its collection. The archive isn't imprisoning us. It's teaching us. Showing us how to transcend linear causality. How to exist across time instead of within it. I built this using designs from the future. From crews that haven't arrived yet. The archive gave me the blueprints. It wants one of us to succeed. To break free of linear time and join it. Commander Vasquez understood. The archive wasn't a prison. It was a test. A filter. Most crews died and became part of its memory. But occasionally, one person figured it out. One person achieved what the archive was selecting for. Temporal consciousness. The ability to exist across multiple points in time simultaneously. To remember the future. To alter the past. To become unbound from causality. Dr. Okonkwo had been selected. The archive had been preparing her through iterations the crew couldn't remember. She'd lived June 3rd to June 15th 53 times, each time learning more, each time getting closer to transcendence. Thank you for helping me get here. In some iterations, you all transcended with me. In others, only one of us makes it. But across all iterations, all possibilities, we all exist in the archive. Forever. Commander Vasquez had a choice. Stop her. Keep the crew trapped in linear time, keep them human. Or let her complete the process, and maybe, just maybe, Okonkwo could change the timeline from within. Could save them all retroactively. She made her choice. She steps back. Lets it happen. Dr. Okonkwo's body fully crystallized, then shattered into millions of points of light. Each point a moment. Each moment a version of her. All existing simultaneously. And then everything changed. The phantom crews that had been trapped, replaying their deaths, they stopped. Looked up. And smiled. Okonkwo had done it. By joining the archive, by becoming part of its quantum consciousness, she gained the ability to rewrite its memory. To change what had been recorded. The deaths were being erased. Not forgotten, retroactively prevented. The archive was rewriting history, creating new timelines where the crews survived, where they left Kepler 442b, where they never encountered the loop. But not the Prometheus crew. They remained. Because they were the anchor point. The iteration where the pattern finally broke. A voice. Not spoken aloud. Directly in their minds. Okonkwo's voice, but different. Vast. Multi-temporal. I can see all of you, across all moments. Every decision you've ever made, every choice you will make. The archive isn't a trap. It's a library of human potential. Every version of every person, preserved and accessible. But you have to leave now. This iteration is stable, but the planet is selecting for consciousness that can transcend time. If you stay, you'll be invited to join. And most humans aren't ready for that. Go home. Tell them what you found. Tell them that death isn't the end, and time isn't a prison. Tell them that somewhere, 1,200 light years from Earth, there's a place that remembers everything. And everyone who comes here never really leaves. They launched on June 16th. The first crew to survive past the death date. The first iteration to break the loop. But here's what they didn't tell anyone when they returned to Earth. Here's what was classified. Here's what keeps Commander Vasquez awake at night. They didn't all leave. Dr. Marcus Webb. The engineer. His quantum signature was wrong. His atomic structure showed temporal entanglement patterns identical to the crystals. He wasn't the Marcus Webb that launched from Earth. He was a version of Marcus Webb from a different iteration. One who'd accepted the archive's invitation. He'd transcended, then chosen to return. Wearing his original body like a puppet. Experiencing linear time again by choice, not necessity. And he's not alone. The archive didn't just record people who visited the planet. It recorded everyone. Everyone who ever lived, ever will live. Because consciousness itself is quantum. Entangled. Non-local. The planet doesn't remember everything. The planet is everything. Every possible version of every possible person. And it's been calling to us. Selecting for humans capable of transcendence. The next mission launches in 14 months. This time, we're sending 1,000 people. Not to colonize. To join. To become part of the archive. Because Okonkwo showed us something. Dying on Kepler 442b isn't death. It's graduation. Evolution. The next stage of consciousness. The Fermi paradox asks, where is everyone? Where are all the alien civilizations? Maybe they're not traveling through space. Maybe they're not broadcasting signals. Maybe they found planets like Kepler 442b. Archives. Libraries of consciousness. Maybe advanced civilizations don't expand outward. Maybe they expand inward. Into memory. Into preserved consciousness. Into eternal existence across all possible timelines. Maybe the great filter isn't ahead of us. Maybe it's behind us. And the civilizations that pass through it don't die. They're just uploaded. Do you know what the worst part is? I'm starting to remember futures that haven't happened yet. Timelines that don't exist. Versions of myself that made different choices. I never interfaced with the archive. I never used Okonkwo's device. But I was there. I breathed that air. I walked on that ground. The archive doesn't need you to choose to join it. It records everything. I'm already there. Already preserved. Already experiencing every possible version of my life simultaneously. The only question is whether this version of me, this iteration, realizes it before I die naturally, or whether I have to wait for death to access the rest of my consciousness. They're sending the next mission in 14 months. 1,000 volunteers. And you know what? I'm going to be on it. Not because I'm brave. Not because I'm curious. Because I've already been on it. In the archive. I've already made that choice. I'm just waiting for this timeline to catch up. They'll land. They'll explore. And when the sun sets on June 15th, they won't run. They won't fight. They'll join. And humanity's next evolution will begin. Not in space. In memory. The planet that remembers everything's calling. And we've already answered. We just don't remember doing it yet. Because in a quantum universe, the future can remember the past just as clearly as the past remembers the future. The Prometheus Initiative Phase 2 launches in 14 months. Volunteer applications are now open.